It's a very popular thing to do these days, talk about how terrible the state of the arts and culture as a whole is, right? And I mean, listen, I can't say I haven't participated myself. It's one of the easiest things to do nowadays, especially because, I mean, listen, does culture feel like it's in the best place right off the bat? We should answer this question right off the bat. We don't need any evidence, we don't need any logic here. Does it feel, to you, to me, to you, does it feel like it's a good place right now? It's hard to say yes. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. As we start this video, comment your thoughts below. Do you think culture's in a good spot right now? I mean, listen, in theory, and many will disagree with this, but in theory, Mr. Beast is the biggest artist on the planet. He is technically making art with these videos, and they're getting 300 million views. Many people will say this is an indictment on our society. I don't know if I'd go that far. Doesn't feel great though, right? If Mr. Beast is our Andy Warhol, Kai Cenat, our Jackson Pollock, I get why people are like, oh wow, the arts are done or whatever, right? Because I feel like we always do have this impression that like the art and this idea of like this high cerebral culture was like always the most popular thing on earth, when like it wasn't, but like it's hard to deny that like when I'm watching the 15th remake of a movie from the 80s that was like still fine, like I still am good with that movie, that like it's hard to deny like this feels like things are a little bit worse off, right? If you read, and there's a lot of people who were writing back in the 80s, kind of like the snob types, right? Who were writing like, oh my god, like the fact that Michael Jackson is the biggest thing on earth is like an indictment on culture. Like everybody should be listening to like Bonnie Boo and like his I don't know, like some niche artist, right? The idea of popular culture was like definitely, like historically has been critiqued, right? Many people think like, oh my god, everybody loved Michael Jackson. That's true, but that doesn't mean there weren't still snobbish people being snobby about like, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, oh my god, like people are worshiping celebrities. Like this has always kind of been a thing. But it's tough to look at like the state of how things go and say that we're not in a especially weird feeling place, right? Feeling being the key word, because I unfortunately do think we can make an argument here today that maybe we're in the golden age of the arts. Now, I'm gonna come off right off the bat here. I don't think this. I don't think that it's a thought that I feel like should be entertained because it's an interesting one and one that maybe we can learn a little bit from. Do I agree? No, I don't. I don't agree at all. I don't think we're in the golden age of culture, mainly because I don't really believe in golden ages at all, right? And maybe that's, I feel, kind of a spoiler alert. This is going to be one of those episodes where I give the conclusion to the front, which is a famously good thing to do if you want people to keep watching a video. That, like, I feel that, like, golden ages are kind of a paradoxical thing, because if you read when people are, like, if you read anything from the Renaissance, nobody was going, like, just got back from the bar with my boy Leonardo and Raphael. We said, man, we are in a Renaissance. Like, it's always just a bunch of people doing things, and then later that kind of just gets mystified in a certain way, and there were, if you look throughout history, like, the Renaissance is, when I say the Renaissance, you know exactly what I'm referring to. But, like, throughout history, there's, like, the German Renaissance, and, like, the French Renaissance, and, like all these different things. There's a million Renaissances happening all the time. I would go as far as saying I'm not a historian, so don't quote me. Famously, these videos should never be quoted. But I'd go as far as saying I feel like you could probably find, like, a 100-year period in history where, like, there was a new Renaissance declared every year, right? Because there's always just, the way historians look back on things is always going to lead to, like, a, I don't know, some bullshit getting made up. Like, let's be real, guys. That's what most of this is, Like, I'm not talking about historians. That's not me dissing historians. I actually think historians are greatly underrated in society. But, like, I just think most of everything is a bunch of people making up some bullshit. That's my big take for today. We'll call that, we should start like a bulletin board. I'll put that's on the bulletin board for today. That's my big take for today. But, getting serious here, there is some objective facts, or not there is some objective facts, wow. That was some crazy grammar. There are objective facts about society and about culture and about art that could lead one to conclude that we are in the golden age right now, right? First of all, per capita, right? Not per capita. I just said per capita because it sounded fancy. Going back to everything being a bunch of guys making up some bullshit, right? But overall, we are in there is more art being created right now by more people than ever before in human history. That is an objective fact. There has never been a time where it's easier to access art. I mean, like, I think like 12-year-olds are going on the App Store and downloading like CapCut, and they're making edits that are blowing Hollywood studios out of the water. That fact alone is awesome, by the way. I don't know if you've seen this. Movie studios have recently started commissioning TikTok pages to make edits for their movies because they realize it's a way more effective form of marketing. That's crazy. Like, people doing that, that's crazy. And I think, like, that's an example that's kind of an internet native, interesting thing, right? But even past that, there's a ton of examples that are just, like, way more ordinary than anybody would think about, right? For example, what I'm doing right here, right now, painting on camera. The fact that just, like, anybody can just do this, and, like, you know, how many paintings of mine have you seen because of this? And this is no metric for art being good, right? I mean, this isn't an example that's good because it's about me. This is an example that's good because it's about me, who is nobody. Like, I'm just some random guy, right? You have seen just this random guy's paintings. You've seen a lot of them. And I mean, if you like scroll through your feed after this, right? Like, get off this video or whatever and go scroll around. You'll see like 100 more paintings within 5 minutes. If you try and count, you know, get one of those hand tally counts and go every time you see a painting. You're gonna get like way higher, way faster. And then broaden it past paintings. Every time you see some graphic design, every time you see a really cool edit, every time you see a song that somebody made. I saw a guy read out a poem the other day, and that's like less common, but like still, like, that's something, you know, shout out. That's good stuff, right? The point is, there's a lot of art going around right now. Once more than ever, especially because, like, and this is also why I'm kind of not a huge believer in golden ages, because like golden ages were famously historically golden ages for like 5 guys. Like, if you go back to the Renaissance, the average person is not going to be painting. The average person is going to be having a terrible time. I don't know, maybe the Black Plague. No, the Black Plague just wrapped up. It's probably sad still though, because of the Black Plague. I imagine it took a while to get over that whole thing. Either way, they're not going to be happy. The Renaissance was a very select group of guys who were just at the top of society. And this isn't, I feel like some people, like, they love doing historical revisionism of, like, we should not be considering the Renaissance to be anything worthy of, like, anything, because it was just these rich guys who were doing this. Well, that is true. Both things can be true. Like, they were, shout out to those guys. They were getting stuff done back then for sure. I can't say they weren't. But, like, the fact of the matter was that, like, it was just for a select number of people, right? Now, past that, if we look at today, we are in a age where, one, I don't see any rich guys painting, which, by the way, what's that about? If I had, you know what I would do if I had all that money? The canvases would be bigger than 8x8. Let me just tell you that. But past that, again, like, everybody can have access to this now. Maybe it's not through, I mean, like, a great example of this, I get these canvases $1 a piece. That's probably the cheapest canvas has ever been. I don't know if that's true. I wasn't buying canvases in the 80s. But, like, these are very accessible, you know? It's a very accessible thing to get art supplies. I can search up videos. You know, back in the day, I mean back during the Renaissance, if you wanted to learn to paint, you would need to get, like, a mentor and, like, train under one of the masters or whatever, which, while sounding very cool, is a lot harder to do than nowadays, where you can just search up how to oil paint and get 10 tutorials, right? Something that for some reason I don't do in this series, but you could do that. When I was a kid and I wanted to learn to draw, I just searched up videos how to draw. You can just do that now, and you can become an amazing artist off that. And more importantly than becoming an amazing artist, you can get your ideas out in ways that are unique to you, right? Maybe that's the definition of an amazing artist. So, like, it's hard to say that, at the very least, could you say we're not in a golden age of the arts? Could you say we're not in a renaissance of the arts? Maybe you could make those arguments, because those are like fudgy, whoa, where did that word come from? Those are like finicky words, right? You can kind of stretch a golden age to be a lot of things. You can stretch a renaissance to be a lot of things. And you don't really know what's going on when you're in one of those. It's a whole other thing that we're too self-aware nowadays. But, you know, those are tough. However, you cannot argue that we're not in a great democratization of the arts right now. At the very least, I'd be very comfortable giving our modern age that title, that we are in some sort of a great democratization. Now, 2 things are very much going to be said when you make this point. One, maybe having too much art devalues it. I don't know, I'm inclined to not agree with this take, because I love the idea of having more art, because I love art, right? And I don't want something to be bad when you have too much of it, since I love it. hard to say though, that doesn't have some merit to it, right? Like it's not as fun looking at a painting when they're on your Instagram feed, right? I can remember like 10 paintings I've seen the last time I went into a museum. Like, I can think through like, okay, I walked in there was that cool painting in that room, there's that room that had that interesting thing. I can think about that. Can't really think about any of the cool paintings I saw on my Instagram feed because of the medium they're being delivered, which brings us to our second point, which kind of parlays into our third point, right? First, the second point is that the medium that we're consuming this is devalued. If every building in the city you live in was turned into a museum where you could walk in and see art, that would be awesome. You would have a much better life, you would say. But having it all on Instagram kind of just makes it bad, kind of just makes it into a bad thing. This is a point to kind of agree with. I don't know. I mean, it being digital does definitely devalue what's going on. It'd be really cool if it wasn't. Does that mean that does that inherently make it worse? I don't know. And that brings us into our third point, that the art is simply, and this is something a lot of people say, yes, there might be more art than ever, but the art is also worse than ever. Many people either accredit this to us not having tastemakers, right? Back in the day, if you wanted to be a painter, you had to work for years and then get in, bootstrap your way into some old rich divorcee who had a gallery and was the tastemaker of the art world. I don't know why I'm making fan fiction right now. And she would get you in front of the big wigs and then you'd be a painter. That's how it used to work. I'm joking about the divorcee part, but it was like you had to like jump through all these hoops to get into the club, and if you weren't in the club, you were out of the club. And it gave this illusion at least of meritocracy. If you sitting in the 1960s New York amongst all these other starving artists are the one that makes it, you must deserve it. And it gives it a lure to it, right? That no longer exists. Maybe people say that's why the art's worse. If you think the art's worse, which kind of is the third point about this, that it's kind of impossible to say if the art's worse or not. I also think that there's like a point to be made that if you think the art's worse nowadays, the implicit conclusion of that is that giving too many people access to creating art is a mistake because they're going to make bad art. Kind of lends itself to this slippery slope where you end up saying that art should only be created by a vanguard that's worthy of making. That's like the implication in saying something like that, right? Listen, if you think that's true, that's fine, I guess. I'm always wary of things that end up with people saying like there's an elite group of people that should be making art. Like I'm always I don't like stuff like that. I'm pretty against stuff like that in general. I think that everybody should just do what they want, make what they want, right? So I guess to maybe conclude a little bit here, art is subjective, and that's why this is going to be a tough conversation. And that's why anytime they say there's golden age or renaissance, it's just going to be some guy making some bullshit up. No, of course I'm saying that half in jest here, but there is truth to it. Since art is subjective, there's not going to be one answer to this. There is definitely a great democratization of the arts that has occurred. This is true. Does this mean we're in a great period for the arts? That's a much harder question to answer. And it's going to be until some historian comes along the line and writes a book that sells well enough where they're allowed to make some bullshit up. That's going to be a question that you, as an individual viewer of the art, must answer. There's more art than ever, which in my opinion, doesn't mean anything about anything. I think that the only conclusion that should be drawn from this entire conversation is that art's more accessible than ever, so you should go make some. This is the painting, kind of keeping up with that thing we've been doing, the thing we've been doing, not that thing we've been doing, the thing we've been doing with the blue shape. This one's not 3D, this one's not a circle, it's a square, and there's a triangle, and there was another triangle, but I covered it, and there's these two black bars. There's a little bit of texture here, which I like. Overall, though, this looks way worse than anything I've made in the last couple of days. So I'm going to take this to my side to get rid of this color palette. We're done with this. We're moving on to something new tomorrow in tomorrow's Paint and Talk, which I look forward to sharing with you all. Go check us out on the TikTok and the Instagram. And until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint and Talk episode 332. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all.